Hola everyone and welcome to Play It Like DIMEBAG, and today I'm going to be showing to you llGrindThatAxeForALongTime off of PanterA's Reinventing the Steel album, which I believe is one of the, if not the easiest PanterA song to play on guitar. So let's just see why, shall we? Technically, this might be the easiest PanterA song to play. However, what makes it a bit challenging are the odd time signatures. For the most part, this song is in 7/8 with the addition of 9/8 at the end of certain sections of the song. And only the chorus and the C part at the end, as I call it, are in 4/4. But let's talk about that later. I tuned the guitar for this lesson to standard D. I also made a backing track in standard D for this song, which you can have access to by becoming a member at my Patreon site, link below. Let's talk about the intro section now. This intro section starts with the 7/8 time signature, adding the 9/8 as I mentioned at the very last bar. Let's talk about 7/8 first. There's two ways of understanding this odd time signature. One would be to think about it as a group of twos, twice, and a group of three, once, with using the accent, this case, on the 1, 3, and a 5. It would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how the riff sounds. That's where the accents are put. So now let's talk about the riffs. These are all power chords, and you start it on the 3rd fret, picking it always with the downstroke for this part, and then slide up half a note from the 3 to the 4th, and then repeat this from the 1st fret to the 2nd, and then end up this bar with an open E power chord, adding the 2nd fret on the A string. It's all together. And then just repeat this. And how you count on it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 times this time. And the last bar is in 9/8, as I mentioned earlier. In addition, you add 3 ghost notes like this, which you pick on the E and the A string. Oops. Just slightly touching the E and the A note, you get this sound, and you can also mute with the right hand a little bit and just pick it really softly, because that's how you can play this part very similar to the original. Instead of, it's not that aggressive. And they all come on the 7. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Soon as the fire begins my heart. This verse riff is very similar to the intro riff, but instead of starting from the 3rd fret, you go up to the 5th, pick it with a downstroke and slide up a half note. Then you go down to the 3rd fret and end it with an open E power chord with the addition of 2 palm muted open E string, only the E string, together. The next bar is pretty much the same pattern with different notes. So this time you start on the 3rd fret again, sliding up to the 4th, and then go down to the 1st fret and slide up to the 2nd, and then play the E power chord and the 2 palm muted open E strings. Together over a click track. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last bar is in 9/8 again, starting from the 3rd fret, doing the same pattern, adding the power chord, but do not add the 2 palm muted E strings, but instead play a pick scrape and then a slide down right after the scrape. The open power chord is 2 beat length. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the 7 you do the pick scrape and then slide down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the intro riff comes back, but instead of 8 bars, it's only 4 bars. And then another verse, but this time it's with an alternate ending. Instead of playing 3 ghost notes per beat, now you play 6 over 3 beats. So it means 2 ghost notes on 1. And it's all alternate picked, starting with a downstroke and ending it with an upstroke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me show you this chromatically descending riff first, slow. So what you do here, you can hear the repetition in it. You start on the 7th fret, picking it with the downstroke and then slide up a half a note. Repeat this from the 6th and then from the 5th. And then add 1 palm muted open E string together. Repeat the same pattern from the 4th and then the 2 together. And then you pick a power chord on the 1st fret and then hammer on with the middle finger to the 2nd fret. You get this dissonant chord. So all together. And then it goes to the straightforward 2/4 riff, which sound like this. Okay, so what you do here is you start with an open E power chord and then immediately start repeating that power chord, but do not open it, instead start palm muting them. That's the first bar. And then comes the galloping riff, starting on the 1st fret and then immediately go down to the open E string. And then this is what it's being repeated 4 times. First you start with holding the pick like this with a straight line here. That's what you first do. It look and sound like this. And if you angle it like this, you can hear the difference. I'm starting with this and then angle it. And that's what you do with the galloping part. And the last bar of the chorus will look like this. So instead of a power chord, now you want to put your index finger on the A string, 3rd fret. And also pick the open E. And repeat this 4 times. 4. These are all 1 beats and 1 rests in between them. And then you go down to the open power chord. And then slide down from the 6th and also pick the 7th on the A string. So 6th on the E and 7th on the A string. That's where you slide down from to an open E power chord again. And that's the end. First, you would want to learn the notes and then understand the rhythms behind. So the notes are the 5th, the 8th and the 7th fret with the power chords on the E string. So, and then in between certain chords you put open E strings. And as you can see, I change the direction of the pick. Every quarter note, there's 2 beats, a downbeat and an upbeat. The downbeat you play with the downstroke, the upbeat you play with the downstroke. So let me show you like that, slowly. It's down, 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 up, down, up, 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 down, up, down. And that's how it adds up. At first you would always want to think as if it's an alternate picking. There's of course exceptions, but for the most part it would work out pretty well. And once you have that down, you can add the phrasings as well, which would be like a very solid bending, only on the first note though. And then a vibrato. So it's only on the 5th. And then the last note you kind of drop. And then you go to the next part, which would be open E power chords, and then a big slide down, quarter notes again, starting with an open E, and then 3 ghost notes. And again, these ghost notes are more laid back, so that there's a bigger dynamic stretch and jump between them. All together, slowly. This longer bridge part is very similar to the chromatically descending riff in the chorus actually, but just start on the 12th fret. Try to memorize the notes and have a better understanding and then play it. But from the 5th, it gets a little different. Although it starts the same, so it's like 3 times you do these sliding riffs and then add the palm mute. And then from the 2nd you do 1 slide up. And then from the 1st fret you don't slide up a half note, but you go up 1 octave to the 13th fret. 1 note only, and then slide down immediately back to the 1st fret. And again from the 1st fret slide down to the 13th. And also bend that note up. So all together, this part. And end it with an open power chord that lasts for 2 bars. Almost at the finish line there. So this is C part number 2, which is very similar to C part number 1. But instead of starting on the 5th fret, now we go up to the 8th fret. There's also one minor little difference there. Instead of ending the 2nd bar on a quarter note, you put 2 8ths there, and it ends up with an upstroke. So that's what you repeat from the 5th. Again. But this time it is a quarter note. The phrasings are pretty much the same, so it's... And then it ends with 2 bars of full of 16th notes and all palm muted. Again, this one you would want to pick with an angled finger. I don't know the name of this one. So just angle it and make it sound heavier. Last 2 bars is repeated, so it's 4 times. And then you play the chorus, which is again almost identical to the previous ones, except for the very end, which is a little bit different. It sounds like this. Just find the natural harmonics, maybe over the 5th fret or the 4th, and you just slightly touch the string and come up with this sort of arpeggiated picking. So, and that's how you end it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that you found this helpful. And again, if you would like to have the backing tracks and tabs and some instructions that I wrote down, please consider to check out my Patreon site and maybe even becoming a member. But more on that if you click on the link below. Be safe, and I see you later. Bye!